Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Jennifer Ann Morrow, and I'm the program coordinator of the Evaluation Statistics and Methodology doctoral program at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. My presentation today is focused on utilizing PechaKucha and 3-minute thesis styles for online presentations. After watching this presentation, feel free to contact me at my email, jamorrow@utk.edu, or on Twitter. My handle is Evaluation Diva. In today's presentation, I'll be talking about the problem of death by PowerPoint and Zoom fatigue. I'll spend most of the time discussing a couple of activities that I incorporated within my online classes to address these issues: PechaKucha and 3-minute thesis presentations. And lastly, I will offer some suggestions for faculty and share with you some of my favorite resources about these types of presentation styles. Research has shown that the optimal attention span of audience members is only 18 to 20 minutes. Many presenters don't know how to use PowerPoint effectively when they're presenting. Things like too many bullets of information on the slides, distracting visuals and animations, and text fonts that are too small to read. Having multiple long-winded presentations within a class period can really lead to information overload. Many times with PowerPoint presentations, students are just reading the text and the slides to the audience, which is not very engaging. So how do we get our students to deliver more engaging presentations? We need to encourage them to instead tell a story. With moving to online classes, I have found it even more difficult to keep students' attention. In an online environment, you have to spend more time paying attention to nonverbal cues. It definitely takes much longer to process information about what is going on in your classroom environment. We're also guilty of multitasking more in an online environment. Students are paying attention to the speaker, checking email, chatting with other students on Zoom, and focusing on other tasks all at the same time. They're also dealing with numerous distractions, for example, roommate issues, technology glitches, that take their attention away from the speaker. So I knew I had to modify how I had students do presentations and lead discussions when we moved over to an online classroom environment. In my face-to-face courses, I've used PechaKucha presentations with much success, so I decided to incorporate these within my online courses with just some slight modifications. So PechaKucha is Japanese for chit chat. It is fast-paced, interactive presentation style where you present 20 slides for 20 seconds per slide, and usually it's automated. It's also mostly visual-based, so there is little text on the slides. This presentation style I found is very adaptable for both synchronous and asynchronous online courses. What I like most about the PechaKucha presentation style is that if it forces students to have to tell a story, they can't just read text on the slides. They have to think about what they're going to say beforehand and plan out their story for the audience. I will typically pair this presentation with a discussion activity, and if the class is live, then I put students into breakout rooms to discuss and then come back for a larger discussion. If the class is asynchronous, I have students watch the recorded presentations and then respond to discussion questions on our learning management system. We use Canvas. In more advanced classes, I'll require students to also create a brief handout about their presentation topic, which is then shared with all the students. I will also sometimes require presenters to create a group activity that we can do in our online class environment that engages the students on the topic. And this type of presentation style is very flexible. I can adapt it to different types of courses, different course levels, and different sizes of class. In larger classes, I tend to assign these as a group assignment and have students present more like a podcast. I've used this presentation style in my online graduate level statistics courses, as well as my online graduate level research methods courses, both as individual and group assignments. Students have found these pretty engaging, and having the additional handout in that group activity or group discussion seems to help solidify their understanding of some of these more complex topics that we cover in class. Another presentation style that I've utilized in my online courses is a 3-minute thesis, or 3MT presentation style. I love this type of presentation style, especially for my larger classes. For this presentation style, presenters are limited to one PowerPoint slide, which is mostly visual and not very text heavy. And you only have 3 minutes to present your topic, and your slide is static. It can have no animations or transitions. 3MT presentations are done as a worldwide competition where students present their research story in 3 minutes before a panel of judges. You can use the official judging criteria that focuses on comprehension, engagement, and communication style, or you can create your own rubric to assess these presentations. I typically include a peer feedback component to this assignment, where peers give anonymous feedback using the assigned rubric that I've created. And depending on the class size, I might also include an online discussion, especially if there's overlapping topics for their presentations to discuss amongst themselves. And I found this really seems to work well with both synchronous and asynchronous classes, and especially it works really well in my larger classes. I have used this presentation style in my larger graduate level survey research and research methods courses, and I find that it really helps students figure out the key message that they want to get across about that survey that they created or their research project idea. And it seems to help students focus on telling their story clearly and succinctly. So I want to wrap up with a few suggestions for those of you who may be considering using these presentation styles in your classes. First, encourage your students to keep it simple scholar, or KISS. In one presentation, they're not going to be able to cover every detail about their topic, and they should not try to overburden the audience with tons of information. Instead, get them to focus on the key features of the topic. Always provide detailed guidelines and examples from past students. I give students a detailed handout that goes step by step how to create a presentation like this, and I give them tons of resources for them to review for additional help. I also include a rubric for how I will be assessing their presentation, and many times I also incorporate having their classmates provide feedback on their presentations as well. And lastly, encourage students to practice. Tell them to practice on their own in front of an audience, on Zoom, or test out recording themselves beforehand so they get used to the technology before they deliver their final presentation to their classmates. At first, students are a bit apprehensive, and some are quite honestly terrified about having to do presentations in these types of formats. But I give a few key resources shown here on the slide that seem to be helpful in getting them started. And what I found that is really helpful is I share with them examples from past students. So I get students permission to use their final presentations, and I share these with my new students in the class. And so they can see that this presentation is very doable. It's not that scary, and they can kind of see how others have planned to do this presentation. There's a lot of great resources on PechaKucha's and 3MT presentation styles on the main websites, which are located here on this slide. I also included a link to my ebook chapter on strategies for using PechaKucha's in the classroom that you can freely download. And I've also included a few links that summarize some helpful tips and provide examples for both of these types of presentations. Well, that's my presentation. I hope you have found this information helpful. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to email me at jamorrow@utk.edu or stop by the Setop social hour from 5 to 6 p.m. on Friday the 19th. And you can also post any questions or comments to my Twitter feed, which is Evaluation Diva. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you all have a great day.